welcome to Sports Econ 101. And for those of you new to our show, imagine if you guys sitting around a bar, having drinks without the drinks, talking sports and business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, well-known sports radio personality, Bruce McGowan, and Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX-TV in San Francisco. And on this show, we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. In addition, we're going to be asking sports trivia questions where we're giving away vacations to the first three callers with the correct answer. Our phone number is 888-660-4495. Write that number down, 888-660-4495, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina. The vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Today's trivia theme is the World Series, since baseball is getting close to the World Series right now. And our special guest is planning to be John Rothschild, who is a football handicapper. So we're going to learn a little bit about betting on football and maybe some other sports. I want to talk about Houston, Texas fans cheering after their quarterback, Matt Schaub, gets hurt. Oh, that hurts. We'll also try to touch on David Ortiz' dramatic grand slam in Game 2 of the ACLS. Pretty exciting for baseball. Lights out for Comerica Park. Did Detroit's bankruptcy have anything to do with it? Carolina Panthers defensive end Greg Hardy says that he could beat LeBron James one-on-one in basketball. That ought to be kind of fun discussion. Dodgers Cardinals, what's going on with John Jay? He's usually a very good outfielder. Maybe it's just a case of nerves. Yasiel Puig, hot dogging it or just getting excited? Is that good for baseball? This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding 8% or more, secured by real estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. I personally have my IRA with them. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. And don't touch that dial because you're listening to Sports Econ 101, and we are going to be right back. We go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan. And in the studio today, we have a special guest. Actually, he's on the phone, calling from Pennsylvania. John Rothschild, who is a football handicapper. And John, welcome to Sports Econ 101.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And guys, just one other thing. If anybody wants to follow along today, we have a site, and the first 3 chapters of the book are free. It's called freewageringsadvice.com. You can go on there. You can look at the book. You can ask us questions. There's no charge. We try to get back to everybody and answer your handicapping questions.
Nice. Okay. So I understand that you handicap football and horse racing. So let's start off with football. How does one actually handicap a football game?
That's really a loaded question. What we do in the book is we break everything down into certain angles. Some are a little more complicated. Some are very, very easy. You don't need to know every player on a team or every formation in a playbook. And what we do is we break it down into angles that work best for college, those that work best for the NFL, and those that work for both of them.
You know, it's interesting. I was just looking at this crazy quilt season, John, in the NFL, and it has just been absolutely unpredictable. Who would have thought Kansas City would be 6-0 and the New York Giants would be 0-6? I mean, has this driven people in your profession nuts?
It absolutely has. We fit about 60. We've gotten up to about 65% every year. We're very honest about things. The last couple of weeks have been very, very difficult. I have access to see some of the charts of what people wager. And last night, a record amount, not of dollars, but of individual wagers were bet on the Colts. 90% of the wagers were on Indianapolis, and they obviously lost.
Wow. You know, I was going to say Indianapolis was walking right into a storm because San Diego is having a terrible start to their season, and they were desperate for a win, and they're playing in front of a sold-out crowd. They had to pump up the sales by giving tickets away, but you knew that that was kind of a trap game.
I guess, you know, one of the angles we like to follow are press conferences, and you know, press conferences are much better for college. In the pros, unless you're Rex Ryan, most of these guys really don't want or need to be in front of a camera. But I guess he sells commercials. But, I listened to Pagano, the coach of the Colts. It really seemed like he had his team organized. Andrew Luck seemed very, very focused. I expected a much better game from the Colts last night.
Well, it would have helped if the receivers didn't drop so many balls.
You know what? They even showed a stat during the game that the Colts have had 5 drop passes during the season.
Wow.
They had 8 last night.
8 drops last night? Wow.
You don't think there's any collusion going on, do you? The old 1919 socks?
I can answer. I think, some of the games are set up, or I get asked to the players, are they aware of the lines? The players are absolutely aware of the lines, but, if you play sports, once the game starts, you have no idea what the line is. You're just focused on what you're doing.
Yeah. I always thought that if you were to, and give me some advice on this one, the first game of the season, I talked about this once before, but this is the first time with you, John. The first game of the season, well, what are the statistics of taking the home team underdog with the points? Because
that's a great question.
Thanks.
Very good. I would say maybe a 45% shot, and we've already talked before that you need to win 53% of your games to at least break even. There's a lot of things you just don't know in the beginning of the season. The college games are a little bit easier. You can look at returning starters. In the pros, it's a little more difficult because you've got so much team turnover. Team turns over every 3.5 years. And for the pros, it takes a while for these guys to learn how to play together.
Yeah, relating to that, I'm curious. I remember back in this is going back a few years. Shows you how old I am. 1986, 49er.
That's not that old.
Well, I'm just saying, it's 27 years ago. 1986, Joe Montana goes down with a back injury. He has to go in and have surgery. He's going to be out maybe a whole season. He actually came back after 6 weeks. They didn't have Steve Young then. They had good backup quarterbacks, but what would that do today if a guy like Andrew Luck goes down with a serious injury? I mean, how does that affect the odds? Because the Niners had such a good system, they were able to make up for it and still win, but you never can take that for granted.
My general rule of thumb is if a top quarterback goes down, the line may change 5 points.
Wow.
It used to only be the quarterback, but today, because teams really need more than one speed receiver, if you lose one of those guys, the line may change another 3 points. But, going back to your prior question about the beginning of the season, there's a great angle in the book to sort of go against. Teams that were hot at the end of the season generally are over bet the following year.
Sure.
Some great examples would be the Washington Redskins this year, who after the bye week won out last year. The year before, if you remember, Tampa Bay almost won out, and they're having trouble winning right now. And the year before that, the Patriots won out, and they hardly covered the year after that either.
Interesting.
So I want to ask you one of these questions here. 7 angles that win 75% of the time.
You want me to give you a couple of them?
Sure.
You should get a kick out of them. With these angles, some are not marquee games. Some you have to look for. Some fall right in your lap. One of the easiest ones, I'm sure you guys can probably give me the answer to this, is something that's hit just about over 80% of the time the last 15 years, and that's the Pro Bowl. And obviously you can bet on the AFC, the NFC, the over, the under. Can you guess which line is hit almost every year?
Over.
Yeah, it has. You always think that they're going to get it right. They keep raising the line, but nobody wants to get hurt. The rules change protecting the offensive players, and the overs covered almost every year recently.
I don't want to change the subject on you, but horse racing to me is fascinating because I don't cover it that often. But when I was working with a radio network in New York back in 1981, I got a chance to cover the entire Triple Crown, and there was a horse named Pleasant Colony that won the first 2 legs of that Triple Crown but could not win the Belmont because it's a longer race. And I'll never forget, when I was down in the area where all the media is allowed to look at the horses, I heard this guy say, "Oh, he's in trouble. He's washy." In other words, he was kind of spooked and a little bit high-strung. I mean, how do people find out about things like that without, unless they're right down there? I mean,
they got a horse whisperer.
Really, another term for that is kidney sweat.
Yeah.
You see like a white foam on the horse's back quarters, sometimes on the withers. It can be an issue. It doesn't do anything to me unless I see a horse who looks really, really lethargic. And also, if you want to talk about horse racing, the Triple Crown is tough. I wish they would spread those races a little more further apart.
It's got to be tough on the horses too, because you have three very different types of races. I mean, and also,
and the longest one is the last one, the Belmont.
yeah, and the fields are different sizes too. So anyway,
A lot of times what happens is people realize they either save the horse for the Belmont, or they realize that they just don't have the DNA for it. Yeah, and another thing too, people always ask me, well, why are horses having more injuries today? And I haven't really heard it put this way, but we've always been taught to breed the best with the best, as colloquial as it sounds, and hope for the best. But what we've pretty much done is we've bred a Mack truck body, stuck it on a Ferrari frame, and we're breeding a horse with a bigger heart, not only physiologically, but I mean psychologically, a horse that just intrinsically wants to run right through pain, right through injury, and that's why I think we're getting a lot more problems today.
Hey, John, this is Vern Glenn jumping in, and let me just throw this out here, and I think we're going to take a commercial break while you mull it over. But why is it that Vegas always seems to be right? Why do they get it right? I just got back from covering the Raider-Chief game. Chiefs are 10-point favorites. Raiders are 10-point dog. They come in, play them straight up for the first half. It's tied at 7. I'm thinking, oh, man, what a Raiders. Boy, they're showing up. And yet, 3 turnovers in the second half, it leads to 17 points. Chiefs win the game, going away, and they cover. But dang it,
really
why
close.
is Vegas always right?
Okay, John, we're gonna hold off on that because we have to. John, hold on for a second because we have to go to a commercial break here. You can answer it when we come back. Okay, again, the theme is the World Series. First trivia question: who is the only World Series MVP since 1981 who's been inducted into the Hall of Fame? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-660-4495 to answer this question. Who is the only World Series MVP since 1981 that's been inducted into the Hall of Fame? 888-660-4495. Make sure to include your name and your email address, and don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Sorry, we were running over just a tad.
I knew you were running on time, but I knew I could get the question in.
Yeah, that's perfect.
1980, I would know the answer.
Is that Kirby Puckett?
1980 would have been Mike Schmidt.
Well, he said after. Did you say 1980?
After 1981, Kirby Puckett would have been my guess.
Yeah, I would say Kirby Puckett.
Well, you guys are just too smart.
Kirby Puckett is one of the nicest people, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You ever talked to him? What a great guy.
Yeah, he seemed like a really nice guy.
Boy, the poor guy, though, his world just fell apart.
Yeah, get divorced, right?
Well, he had that eye problem. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like a weird case of glaucoma. Which was because he was a young guy.
Yeah, he was like 34 years old. Yeah.
He died of, was it kidney failure? I know.
He had some other problems related to his. I think he also had an incident with a woman.
Yeah.
That got a lot of publicity. It was not a rape, but it was kind of like a.
He said, she said, consent type thing.
He's like a little teddy bear. I love him.
He's
a great player, too.
I'm watching him, how stocky he is. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
We're coming back. Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan. We're in the studio on the phone with John Rothschild, who's a football and horse racing handicapper. But when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Who is the only World Series MVP since 1981 who's been inducted into the Hall of Fame? Vern.
I went with Kirby Puckett.
And you would be wrong.
Oh, my God.
That's why I picked two.
I was teasing you guys.
Oh, you were.
I was. Okay, Paul Molitor. So I guess Kirby didn't win the MVP. It must have been
but
Jack
Paul
Morris.
Molitor won it on a losing team with the Milwaukee Brewers in '82, right?
Doesn't matter. He was the MVP.
He was the MVP.
Oh, was a losing. Jeffrey Leonard was MVP for the Giants when they lost to the Cardinals in the NLCS in '87.
I tell you, here's Paul Molitor, one of the few guys I can think of that went on live with me before a game, and then as soon as we got off the air, he left. Then he came back after warm-ups and thanked me for having him on.
Great guy. I mean,
he seemed like
very down to earth, very down, easygoing. And so was Kirby Puckett. It's tragic what happened to him. He died young.
It really was.
Yeah.
Vern, before we cut to the break, you asked a question.
Yeah, I threw out a good one. Yeah, this is for John. Yeah, why is it that Vegas seemingly is always right. I mean, I'm just defied how.
Well, you know, they're not as close as everybody thinks they are, but they are awfully good. I'm sure everybody knows the way the odds are set is they set their line, and then even money falls on either side. What happens with most of the public is the public likes favorites, so they overbet that side and Vegas makes money. And just like we all started handicapping, what we saw last week, we thought was going to happen this week or next week, and it doesn't. And Vegas takes that into account also. The other thing they're doing, and this is with Canner Gaming and some of the sophisticated programs, is today Vegas and the sport books are almost betting along with us, setting the line higher or lower, depending on which way they think we're going to go. And it's even tougher today to make money than it was just a couple of years ago.
Is there ever an incident that you can remember where Vegas financially just took a kick to the groin? Something where they something happened, just unforeseen?
It's all even out.
Well, yeah, because they all bet on each side. That changed the line. So I did want to ask you a question about horse racing. I asked you off the air, but I want to ask you on the air. I always kind of thought it would be kind of interesting to look at the Kentucky Derby and bet on what they call the field, which seems to be the not the favorites, but the remaining horses of the 20 horses that are there. Sometimes it might be the field might be 8 or 9 horses, and bet them to show. So you get basically 8 horses, and one of them has to come at least 3rd place.
Yeah.
What do you think of that strategy?
I think it's a great strategy.
Oh, I could write a book.
There you go. Hey, there you go.
No, it is. And we, as we had discussed before, some of the really serious gamblers I know have done all their work and their handicapping. If they see rain on a big race day, they just keep their money in their pockets.
Interesting. I got to ask you about horse racing, John, because I know you love the sport aside from betting on it. I mean, and making the odds and so on, or setting the odds. Why is it that horse racing has become, traditionally it's one of the oldest American sports, and yet now, in terms of people who are really interested in horse racing, just as a pure form of sport, not even interested in betting, just want to know about it, there's just such a small number of people. And it's
so expensive.
I was actually, offered a job to sort of hopefully take horse racing to another level. I think society today wants instant gratification. I mean, there's no reason why you would really want to play a slot machine. I mean, they take 5% out of every spin. You spin the wheels 20 times, you're going to lose your money. But I think a lot of people also don't want to spend the time and learn how to handicap a race car, which I think is just a wonderful challenge. I mean, to me, it's like playing chess or something else. And when you win, you just feel confident. If you do your homework, you've got a much better advantage over anybody else.
That's a great point, and I think I couldn't agree with you more.
So I want to ask you, John, wagering advice that your parents should have given you. What would you say to that?
I have a lot of things. I can give you some real fun things.
Yeah, give me some fun stories.
One thing, and we sort of might have talked, we'll get into this today, but a lot of people have systems. And the only people that make money on systems are the people who sell them. Do your homework, look for some angles, and maybe later on in the show I can give you some more angles. Another thing, trends. Every site has a trend. If this team wins 5 away games in a row, if this team wins on Tuesdays, trends don't mean anything. And I'm sorry to say that because everybody uses them, but they're already built into the line, and they will balance out over time.
It's like rolling the dice. One roll has nothing to do with the other.
Absolutely. I'll give you another one. We saw that this week. A lot of people think that teams are a good bet to enter bye week because they're rested, they can prepare more. Again, that's built into the line. Teams do win more after bye week, but they don't cover more.
Oh, good point.
Oh, so I should bet the Raiders over the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off the bye week then.
If you get 50 points.
I'll tell you what, I don't like the Steelers as a reason.
Too strong.
There's a couple other things. I try to get into some human nature things. You read part of the book. The book is funny. I actually had a couple reviews, and some people said it was one of the funniest books they've ever read. I want to keep you reading, have you learn a little bit about football without even knowing that. And one of the things I talk about are winning and losing streaks. If you've won 3, 4, 5 games in a row, you haven't just turned into Nicholas Tesla. And if you lose a couple games in a row, you know what? Maybe just take a break, spend some time with your family, do what I do, go to the gym for 2 or 3 hours a day. Take some time off and sort of look at things all over.
Well, I did that. I took my family to Vegas. That one probably wasn't the right.
Wow.
Seriously, you did that?
No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, hey, listen, it actually would be kind of fun to do just to observe it. I mean, have you done that before? Vern?
Actually, you know what? I stopped gambling.
Yeah.
I've gone to Vegas, and I just don't have the bug anymore.
But I mean,
years ago, I was in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
This was for the Tyson Spink Spice.
Oh
This was a
my
long
God.
time ago.
Oh, boy.
And I had a little time to kill. I'd gotten off the air. All I did was just enjoy the fight. So I had about an hour to kill. Walked into the casino at Trump Plaza, and immediately, bam! I was just red. I was on fire.
Of course.
I was up like $300, $400, man. I was living.
And how quickly did you lose it back?
Well, no. I walked out.
Yeah. Oh,
and I went and I got a bite to eat.
Uh-huh.
And then, I don't know, John, just something happened. I just, maybe I felt cocky or whatever. I had another like 20, 25 minutes to despair. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back in there again.
There you go.
Lost $250 just like that.
Yeah. That's it, man.
And then I said, okay, that's it.
My business partner plays blackjack, and he actually is pretty good at it. In fact, what ends up happening, he goes to these tournaments where the first prize is like $750,000.
Wow.
Guess how much? And there's only like 40 guys who participate in this. Guess how much it costs them to get into the game?
A couple grand.
$0.
What?
Zero for the buy-in.
Yeah,
Wow.
because what they do is they take these top 40 gamblers and
okay.
they're hoping that they're going to stick it out there.
I want a pound for pound.
I've got a portion of the chapter on the dumbest wagers I've ever seen, and I've seen some great ones. It's just, I can't believe it. I mean, I don't ever want to take just this as an investment, but if you're really careful and you follow some of these angles, you really can make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I have no doubt. I mean, there are some people out there who do very well, but as Vernon says, most of the rest of us, I had the same experience that you did on a much smaller scale with card playing up in Idaho, just across the Idaho border in Nevada one night. I won $200, got dinner with my friend. We were on our way up to go skiing. Went back, lost it all in an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the thing is, at least with poker, you're except for them taking a little bit of the rake, you're dealing against other people.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going against the house per
That's
se.
true.
Speaking of other people, I wonder who are the better poker players, women or men? I wonder. There's just some really good women poker players out there.
Annie Duke.
And if you want, I can give me some more tips. I can tell you about some of the dumbest wagers I've ever seen.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Come on, sure.
How about if I give you a racetrack one?
Okay.
I guess about 7 or 8 years ago, I was with my son at the track, and he was very young, but he's just a mathematical whiz. And we were watching the tote board, and all of a sudden, the show pool went up to $55,000. Now, when that happens, that generally means that's a bet for maybe 2 people, but probably 1 person. And there were only 5 horses in the race. Now, if you're going to bet let's say $50,000, and the takeout, with the takeout and the breakage, you're only going to get $2.10 on a $2 bet.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to get 5% on your wager.
So bet on all the other horses.
If you bet $55,000 and you win on the show bet, you're going to get $2,750. To me, that's not very utilitarian. Yeah. So there were only 5 horses in this race. Maybe the show bet was a safe bet. Gates open. The favorite, the money was bet on the favorite, goes to the top. I guess the jockey just got too ambitious and thought he had this thing. He opens up a big lead. Comes to the finish line. He's still ahead of the whole field. But he starts backing up, and he starts backing up more. Right around the finish line, he gets nosed into 4th place.
Oh, man.
What was the explanation?
Oh, man.
And I got to tell you what we ended up doing when we saw the show pool. We went up, and we bet pretty heavily on every other horse to show.
Yeah.
And had a phenomenal afternoon.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a good one. Okay. Really quickly, John, because we're going to have to cut to another commercial break here pretty soon. You got a lot of knowledge here in both horse racing and football. So give us that website again for your book.
The website for the book is freewageringandadvice.com. It'll show you how to order the book, and you can look at the first 3 chapters for free.
Okay. Sounds good. John Rothschild, thank you very much for joining us on the phone today.
All right, you guys were great. I enjoyed all the laughs.
All righty.
All right, see you later, John.
Take care, John.
Bye-bye.
Good guy.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah, good guy. He's interesting. And I guess he lives right outside of Valley Forge. And now that hopefully we'll have the government operating again, but I guess it's been shut down temporarily.
Yeah.
So you can't see where Washington and Lafayette had that miserable winter during the Revolutionary War.
Hey, that's why they shut it down. They didn't want us to see
Yeah.
it. Okay. All right, second commercial break. Trivia question again. The theme is the World Series. The New York Yankees, this is an easy one. The New York Yankees have won the most World Series, 27. Which team is second with 11? The first three callers with the correct answer. Come on, you guys got to know this one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. You guys get your hands on your chins. I'm thinking, they don't know. No, I knew they
I'm
knew
just
this.
scratching the
Just-
stubble on my chin.
All right, first three callers win a free 3-day two-night stay at Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-660-4495 to answer this question. New York Yankees have won the most World Series with 27. Which team is second with 11? 888-660-4495. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back.
Those Cardinals.
Yes.
Right.
I had to throw you one easy one in there.
Are the Red Sox third?
You know, they won.
They won 5 before
five of the-
1919,
Yeah, they
and
won
then
5 of the teams, and then
they
they won
picked up
two.
2 more since then.
7 in total. I think.
I was going to say Seattle Pilots. But
No, you know, the Giants have
Yeah,
6.
51.
They had 5 in New York and 1 in San Diego. I'm 7 for the Giants. Let me
Yeah,
think.
so you can-
Reds don't have that many.
How many do the A's have?
The A's
They
had
have
3 in New
three,
York.
and
Or
then
I'm sorry, 3 in
89.
8. I think the
They're in the
A's have,
70s.
they have 6 since they've been on the
Oh,
How many in
oh,
Philadelphia?
I think it's Philadelphia.
Or they had
1911 and
3.
1913, I think.
I think it was actually. I think
Yeah.
they do have
Connie Mack, baby.
2. Yeah, they have 8. I think 8 or 9. I think they had 5 in Philadelphia because they have 2, 3. Yeah, they've got 9. 5 in Philly, 4 here, and none in Kansas City.
Have they always
Yeah.
been green and gold? Even in Philadelphia?
No, that was
No, that
Charlie
was-
Finley. Charlie
Okay,
Finley was the guy that changed them.
Yeah, they were good, like black and white.
So when they moved to the Coliseum at 68,
No, Kansas City, they were green.
They were green.
Oh,
That's
they were
Charlie
green.
Finley.
Okay.
Charlie
Oh,
Finley
okay.
put that stamp on him when he took over in '65, I think it was.
Okay.
Well, it's weird, like the Texas Rangers changed from blue to red.
Yeah. Well, they still have the blue. They just have the different.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I like a team like the Yankees that just kept.
Just
Or the Red
stay,
Sox, or the
yeah.
Cardinals, or even
Yeah.
the Giants.
I think Lou Russo was on that
Dodgers.
team.
What's that?
I think Lou Russo was on the 68 team.
He was.
He was, yeah.
He was like like the 25th man or something.
Did you know Tony La Russa met his wife in my hometown in Richmond, Virginia?
Is that right? Are you from Richmond, Virginia?
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I've always wanted to go to Richmond, Virginia. That's an historic
A
place.
lot of history, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
I-
flew into there and to drive out to Virginia Beach, but
Kind of hilly, right? Is it a little hilly? It's near
It
the
just-
water, right?
Kinda, yeah, right on James River.
But it
Okay.
drove me crazy when we were running late for the airport and there were no signs.
Uh,
All it said was just little RIC.
what's the
That was
biggest city is Washington D.C. Or Baltimore nearby?
Baltimore's
Well-
2 hours, 45 minutes.
Yeah, Richmond's kind of in the middle.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Richmond's in between Baltimore and D.C.
No,
No, it's more
yeah.
east, more west.
It's
more
it's
kind
like
of in the middle of-
here's Richmond, here's DC,
Okay.
and then here's Baltimore.
Oh, okay. So it's okay. It's inland.
Yeah, you're good hour.
Gotcha.
I just remember it was hot. Somewhere.
Oh yeah,
It always amazed me how during the Civil War
humidity
you
of around 90,
had two capitals. I mean, literally.
45 minutes away.
Yeah, by today's standards. Yeah. Of course, by 1860 standards, no.
Shoot, man. The last question's pretty easy too. I got to make them harder
That's
for
all
you.
right.
Can't stuff you too much. Okay.
Dude, I'm hooked onto a new TV series.
Uh-oh.
American Horror Stories.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I'm in season 3. Season 3 is ongoing. I've seen the first 4 episodes of season 1. Wow.
Is it like a documentary type of thing?
No, this is actual gruesome stories. It's like a series. Jessica Lange,
Uh-huh.
who's
She's
a
in
far
there?
better actress than I expected. Jessica Lange's in it, but it's the same
Oh, it's a drama.
core of characters each season, but each season takes on a different theme.
Jessica Lange is the main star. Wow.
Oh, so it's not a true story then. It's just
No, they're not true.
Oh, I
No,
love
but it's
Jessica Lange.
like first season is around a haunted house.
Oh.
I don't know what the second season is, but the third season is around this insane asylum.
Ooh.
Great.
Sounds interesting.
By the way, Boston, Mike Napoli homered
1-0.
1-0.
Wow.
Yeah, because before I walked in here, the Red Sox had 1 hit, the Tigers had 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real duel.
3 hits each.
It's amazing how since the steroid era has disappeared, the pitching has taken over again, which I think is
Mhm.
great because the games are faster. The hits mean a lot more. They're tenser.
Yeah.
But
of course, I like to see the big.
I know. I got spoiled too. We all did.
We'll get into
Much
it.
as everybody hates Barry Bonds, I loved watching that guy play. God, he was fun to watch play.
Oh, he was.
He was so smart as far as understanding how to hit a baseball, how to, I remember one time he was running around third.
Do you think the day will come where he'll actually share his thoughts, secrets, whatever, on hitting?
On hitting, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, on hitting, but not on
the steroids.
Not on the steroids.
No, on steroids. But I mean, he's never.
Well, he will talk to you about it. But the thing is, not the problem was
I've
most
just
of
never
us.
seen anything in print about what he looks for, what the tells are, what you know. What I mean?
You know, it'd be interesting to talk to is Don Mattingly. Apparently, I think his whole career he only popped up like twice. Something ridiculous.
He was
such a good.
He was on such not bad teams, but relatively speaking, mediocre teams. With Bonds, he would talk about that. He'd love to, but the problem was we in the media always wanted to talk not so much about things that upset him, but things that he just felt were kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
He was a snot, and he had a right to be. Christ, I mean,
he gets asked the same question.
Yeah. They're all guilty of it.
Okay, so
I mean, but there's something he saw better than anybody else.
Oh, yeah. No, he's
when it was leaving a pitcher's hand. He just.
I remember one time he told John Miller, he goes, "Yeah, I can tell the difference between this pitch and this pitch," and the difference was like the guy was setting up, over here as opposed to like 2 inches away.
Really?
Wow.
But what about the spin of the ball?
I have a feeling that, unfortunately, that some of the steroids helped him with that too, because he was 38 and he was hitting. I remember when he was 37, he hit 371 or something. 2002. When he was 38, the year they won the pennant. The year before he broke the record, then he had 272 the next year, or 372.
I'm still upset about the 2002 World Series.
Oh God! Tell me about it. That was awful.
God, I'll never forget that.
I remember exactly where I was game 6. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go.
Standing next to Willie Mays. Meltdown.
Had to be crying.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's
That's a good
a
story.
little upset. Oh, one of the reasons I was talking about this is the station said, "Hey, Edward, tell the guys if they could back off a little because every once in a while, because I can't hit them fast enough."
Yeah. Okay.
But it's I mean, listen.
I was sitting next to Kruko and Kuiper up in the booth there, and Kruko looked over at me because he'd been saying, "We're only 9 outs away," and then I said, "Hey, Mike, 8 outs away." And then after the home run by Scott Spears, "Don't say a fucking word." Don't say another fucking word. You hear me?
6 hours away, and I'm with Willie Mays. We're underneath the stadium, outside of the Giants clubhouse, watching it on a monitor.
Oh.
And then I'm with the cameraman, and I was like, "Hey, Willie, hey, 6 hours away. I mean, want to do a little something? I just would love to know what you're thinking." And he says, "Well, Pee Wee," because that's what he called me. He said, "Let's just wait. I don't want to jinx it."
Maybe you did jinx it. That's the way baseball, man.
I'll never forget
Poor
that.
Rob, man, we didn't know he was pitching with his arm hanging by a thread.
Yeah.
Well,
and then Bonds butchers the ball that Troy Glaus hits, and a 2-run score as a result. I mean, how often does Bonds do that?
You gotta take him out. Take him out. I mean, you see the guy. That's the thing. Sometimes, again, I think it's easier being in watching on TV. Sometimes we've seen.
They had 3 great pitchers that year in the bullpen. Even if Felix Rodriguez would give up some big hits, he had that great fastball. Tim Worrell was a good setup man, and Rob Nen was lights out. And Dusty used him, and it happens.
Yeah.
It's like his biggest criticism about how he just wears out pitchers, man. Just rides them, kills them.
Well, he got outmanaged last year in the first round by Bochy, that's for sure. But also, I mean, what was his face? The guy Jay Bruce fouls off 13 pitches in a row and then finally flies out. I mean,
but you know what? For as good a guy, he'll keep getting jobs.
Oh well, he should because he's up there in the high. He's not a LaRussa or a Leland, but he's only a couple stops. Maybe a little bit.
All-time winningest manager in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's right.
Giants history.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't like. Oh baby.
Roger Craig.
Yeah,
Well, he took the team out of nowhere and turned them into something.
He did, but I don't know. There's just something about it. Just didn't seem like he managed. It seemed like everyone else kind of did it for him. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan.
Hello there.
Hello there. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this easy trivia question. The New York, this again, we're talking World Series here. The New York Yankees have won the most World Series, 27. Which team is second with 11 wins?
Too easy. That's the St. Louis Cardinals.
That is the St. Louis
With all
Cardinals.
those great players. I used to hate him in the 60s, but Lou Brock and Kurt Flood. And
Oh, yeah.
Orlando Cepeda, Roger Maris, he was on that team.
That's right.
Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah, Bob. Sure.
Oh, I used to hate that team. My next door neighbor, my best friend across the street, was a huge Cardinal fan because he grew up in St. Louis. And we'd go to the games at Candlestick, and Gibson would always outduel Maris.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
What about the Gas House gang?
Well, that's Pepper Martin, and
Yeah.
went back to the 30s. Oh, yeah.
Tim McCarver,
Yeah.
backup catcher.
I stopped liking the Cardinals as soon as Jose Oquendo.
Oh.
Clark.
Hit the home run off.
Yeah, just the whole thing. Yeah, just
Jose Oquendo.
But what a great baseball town.
Oh,
St. Louis?
Yeah.
great baseball.
That is
The
true.
best.
Okay, we're going to move on now here. How about, since we're talking baseball, how about Ortiz with that dramatic grand slam? Was that awesome?
It's wonderful. The thing I like most about him is that, again, he's a great guy. I mean, he's a big, lovable lug. And he's, what is he, 37 or 38 for him? He's got to be 37.
Is he that old?
Yeah, he is. He's up there.
And you think Joey Hunter, if he would have moved a little bit more to his left, do you think he would have caught that?
So hard to tell, man. I mean, that was just that was just a moment.
Yeah.
Spotlight, boom,
Yeah.
on Ortiz, and he got it.
And if he does catch it and falls over the wall, it's still an out.
Oh, if he hangs on, yeah,
If
he's
he hangs
out.
on, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's none of that. Okay. And Yasiel Puig, is he hot dogging it, or is he just getting excited? Is that good for baseball?
He's good for baseball. He's a little arrogant, but he's got the strut.
The game needs that, man.
I
The
know.
game needs that.
Totally agree
I would
with
rather
that.
you give me Puig
Yeah.
more than just some, blend in the wall
Yeah.
vanilla guy that just
Couldn't agree
takes
with
us
you
that
more.
guy. I'm sorry. He just adds that spice to the game.
Even though he was 0 for 11 or something, with 7 strikeouts, but then suddenly he breaks out with the triple.
Mhm.
Which,
Remember, he's a rookie.
true, these young guys, they got to get. But I totally agree. I think it's good for the game. I think otherwise, I think you start losing fans.
You got to keep the fan interest, and there's enough of them out there, but there's got to be the young kids that get into it too. That's how you build it.
When he's got a bat in his hands, I stop and then I lean forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
And the Boston-Detroit game, lights going out in Comerica. Sound kind of familiar, like the World Series, or no, it's like the Super Bowl?
Candles, yeah.
Now everyone's joking about Detroit going bankrupt, and is that the reason they just didn't pay the PG&E bill?
Detroit was bankrupt. When did Detroit go bankrupt anyway?
Just
How long ago?
a couple months
Well,
ago.
What long ago?
Yeah, I just remember my lone visit to Detroit was to cover the Sharks' first series there in '94. First time they made the playoffs in their third year of existence. And I couldn't believe how sad it was. Downtown was like a burnout ghost town.
For as great as the World Series was in 2012, and I was there for games 3 and 4, I felt kind of bad for the city that just needed the Tigers to just. Of all the big cities, I mean, that one just needs something positive.
Yeah.
And it's happening because so many people have left the greater Detroit area for the suburbs.
Yeah, the suburbs are
There
beautiful.
used to be 2.2 million people pulsating in Detroit, and now you got less than 700,000.
And
Exactly.
that airport is pretty nice, too.
Well, and the outlying area is beautiful. Upstate Michigan, I mean, it's a beautiful area.
I was really rooting for him against the Cardinals, and I think it was 06?
06. And they got smoked 4 to nothing. But going back to '68, they beat the Cardinals and came from behind to beat them. That's going back a few. Beat Bob Gibson.
And now when Kirk Gibson was on the '83 team.
That's 84 team.
84 team. Yeah, who did they beat?
They beat the Padres and they killed them.
Oh, that's
4 games
right.
to 1.
Steve Garvin was on that team, right? The '84
That's
Padres.
right. But the Tigers that year were, I think they started off the season like the A's did in '88.
Like 36 and 4
Yeah.
or something.
They were
Something
just
crazy.
I think Jack Morris pitched a no-hitter either on opening day or in the first week of the season, and you knew they were on their way.
That was
It's just-
Alan Trammell was.
Alan
Trammell.
Trammell, Lou
Yep.
Whitaker, yeah.
Oh yeah, Lou.
Yeah.
Lou.
Lance Parrish, nice guy behind the plate. Good man.
It's my pleasure to actually see a game at Old.
Oh, yeah. I got one in
Tiger
game
God,
there,
I
too.
love those. I love the pillars.
And
you
now
know?
it's just depressing. You go back there now, all that's there is home plate, the pitcher's mound, the flagpole in center field, and just a little bit of the concrete on the
Is
outside.
it kind of like a
games.
little park, sort of?
Yeah, but people, it's just open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people show up there, play catch,
That's kind of cool.
pick up games, stuff like that. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the old stadium. Continue on just a little bit. Dodgers Cardinals. What is wrong with John Jay? He's usually a pretty good outfielder. You think it's just nerves?
It's one of those things where he probably lost. Just you run into a slump sometimes. I mean, what happened to Bill Buckner in '86? The ball rolls through his legs, and an easy ground ball that you or I or any little leaguer could have gotten.
Yeah. Well, center field is supposed to be the captain.
It's just magnified because of the moment.
Yeah.
And with everybody watching.
Well, we were talking about 2002 with the Giants, and how they blew it to. They were 6 outs away from winning the World Series, and they lost Game 6, and then lost the next.
God, remember Dusty comes out and
flips Ortiz the ball.
Yeah, it's, hey, you want to get the ball? God.
Yeah, that was awful. And then Darren Erstad, of all people, has to follow up Troy the home run by Scott Spezia with a home run, and you just knew once he hit the home run it was over, even though the
one more game. Yeah,
you talk about game enders. If you jump over to football, how about the end of the New Orleans game?
That was amazing.
And Drew Brees, it comes off the sidelines, and they're like high-fiving. I mean, the game's pretty much over, but Brady gets one more shot, no timeouts, something left.
Brady is as good as Montana, I really think.
Wow.
I think so. I got 5 Super Bowls and 3 titles. That's almost as good as Montana. Montana won 4. So he's still, and Brady's still, relatively young. Well, 34? He's not that young.
He's young. I mean, he's young enough.
He's a young 34. Let's put it that way.
Well, he doesn't have to run much, but he's got, he's got his arm to do his talking for him. Just continue on with football here. Seattle Seahawks. How come they are getting so lucky? I mean, think about it. There's first of all, the Texans, right? Schaub just throws a pick 6.
Right.
Boom, game over. Then there's a next.
Doesn't matter with a Schaub or his backup. They keep throwing pick 6.
When you're 6, when you have that kind
6 straight games with one. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say when you have that good a record too, you have to be good and lucky. Yeah. I really think so.
What has happened to the Texans? Schaub? Just no confidence at all. He's just gone.
Nobody likes him.
Wow.
Can you imagine the fans
burning his jersey?
Yeah. But I think part of it though, it's kind of terrible that the fans are cheering because the guy gets hurt. But I don't think it's necessarily that he gets hurt. I think it's more frustration that has to do with the coach. Because the fans can't control. They would yell, come on, get him out of there, get someone else in. And they have no control. It's the coach that is the one who makes the decision, right? So when the guy gets hurt, you're all, finally, he's getting out of there and get somebody else
in.
You don't physically, you don't really want him to get hurt.
That's why I hate it when a guy gets hurt and then people cheer when he gets hurt. I'll never forget that 1980, Dan Pastorini, unpopular trade, comes from Houston for Ken Stabler, breaks his leg. They take him out of the game. The fans are cheering. Of course, Jim Plunkett later comes in and leads them to the Super Bowl. But, Gene Upshaw said after that loss, after that game, he said, that was the ugliest scene I've ever seen from a Raider fan.
And to localize it here in our backyard, it just happened in the 49er game that we had last weekend where the guy for Arizona gets hurt.
Carson Palmer?
No, not Carson Palmer, but somebody got hurt, and the fans they're doing the wave, and the next day I go into the Channel 5 newsroom, and instead of talking about this great 49er win, all they wanted to talk about was the controversy, the fans doing the wave with an injured player on the field, and the 49er players, they were pretty upset about that too.
I could see why.
Yeah.
It could have been them.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, go back to the Seahawks thing here. Okay, so there was a careless turnover that ended one promising drive, a fortunate bounce that prevented another fumble, and an unusual muffed field goal attempt that led the Titans' only touchdown in the final play of the first half. It just seemed like the Seahawks just keep getting lucky. Just every week.
You have to be lucky and good to win.
Yeah.
Don't you think so, Bert?
Ball's got to bounce your way at some point. You're not. You're just not going to just steamroll guys every single week. Ask the Denver Broncos. They got to work for it.
Yeah.
But
and they're doing it without 2 of their offensive linemen. They're two of their best offensive linemen. Plus, they're all-pro left tackle Ryan Clady out for the season, and this guy's putting up cartoon numbers, Peyton Manning. It's absurd.
Speaking of the Broncos,
who, by the way, is going back to Indianapolis.
Oh, to play the Colts? Is that right?
Broncos Colts coming up, baby.
Man. Okay, so going back to the Broncos for a minute. I was thinking Broncos, Kansas City. They're both 6-0. Any challenge to the 72 Dolphins undefeated season? I don't think Kansas City can do that.
I don't think so. If anyone's going to do it, it'd be Denver. I think
it's tougher this year, don't you? Or tougher in this day because 16 games first of all, and then also the league is so more well balanced. The players move around a lot more. Back in the day when the Dolphins did it, players didn't move around as much. They didn't have free agency.
Right. And the 72 Dolphins. I mean, they had it all. I mean, they had it. This year, I mean, you could argue that the Chiefs may have the best defense, but Denver's got the better offense. It's just tough.
I mean, I can still remember a lot of players from the 72 Dolphins. That's how good they were. Yeah. And that was pretty amazing. In fact, and then continue on with the Texans for just a minute. Vince Young says that he'd love to be picked up by the Texans. He'd love to play there.
Why is Vince Young not playing with anybody? I don't understand.
I don't know. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, he had his moments, but my gosh, I mean, that guy, it seems to me with 30 teams out there and teams needing a backup, somebody would pick him up.
Well, I mean, somebody must know something. I mean, there's tape of him all around the league. If he was that good, he'd be employed.
Why isn't Tim Tebow playing? And again, the guy doesn't have maybe the best arm in the world, but he's a unique talent.
To the untrained eye, I mean, to all of us, I mean, he looks okay. But I mean, there's people that eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff. They all have the all 22 tape around the league. I mean, Jacksonville, you would think, could use him.
Yeah.
I think
what a public relations boom that would be to bring him into Jacksonville.
Especially since they really want him.
Yeah.
Personally, I think a lot of it has to do with the religious affiliation. I think a lot of people. I think that public relations, they want to keep away from that. Which, I mean,
I don't know if I'm buying it that much. I mean, Jacksonville, they got a hard time selling out their games.
Yeah.
I mean, here's Tim Tebow who played at the University of Florida, right? But
it's just one. It's one thing though that isn't helping him. It's probably not helping him, but I don't know if it's the overriding factor is that the guy can win. He's going to play, and he's been winning. It's just that he is an unusual talent. He's not your typical quarterback.
Well, I don't know. I keep thinking about what he did for Denver, bringing them against I think it was the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
I mean that was a tough game to win, and some of them got if you didn't.
But here's another thing to remember: the read option. Now people are picking up on that. Why are the 49ers not use the read option anymore? Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't work right.
Figured it out. They found out how to defend it instead of battling a team protecting north-south. They're protecting east-west and they're stringing it out.
But is Tebow a one-horse quarterback type of guy?
One-trick pony?
Not necessarily, but that's a big part of his game, though, is that run.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break. Again, very easy World Series question for you baseball fans out there. Which Yankees legend has the most World Series rings with 10? Yeah, Bruce knows this one. He's already shaking his head yes. The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay, and Vern knows this one too.
Just lobbing it out there.
I know. These two were lost. I had to get you because that first one of Paul Molitor was a tough one.
That was tough.
Okay, call 888-660-4495 to answer this question. Which Yankees legend has the most World Series rings with 10? Make sure to include your name, your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back. And remember, it's not over until it's over.
Yeah. A wise man once said.
A wise man once said.
That's right.
So it's Yogi, right?
Yeah. I knew you knew.
I think Yogi's doing okay, but he's close to 90 now.
Yeah.
I think he'll be natty either next year or the year after that.
But do you think he just, for fun, said all those? I mean,
no.
I think that's how it is.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. Because it takes, Edith Bunker.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to play baseball. I mean, you don't have to.
Sure.
Shoeless Joe Jackson couldn't even read.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Couldn't even write.
Couldn't write either.
No.
When he put an X.
He put an X.
Yeah.
Mickey Rivers, I remember Mickey had a tough time, from what I understand. He was practically a
Mickey Cochran, too.
Mickey Cochran?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember just from the movie Cobb.
I love Mickey Rivers, though, because he was such a character.
That's Detroit also, right?
Mickey played with the Angels, and he played Texas, and I can't remember. Yankees, I believe, briefly.
Played with the Yankees?
Yeah, the Yankees did. Oh, yeah, but it's amazing. I read a statistic a while ago. Yogi Berra had 76 games without a passed ball, and then there was nobody stole base, stole second, somebody second 30 times in a row. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was a good catcher.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, just a couple of minutes.
Next time I go to Kansas City, I have to go to the Negro League.
Oh yeah, and you know what's great
cool.
is the Jazz Museum is right next door. The same thing. You just buy one ticket for both.
That is my favorite place to go on the road.
It's a great town.
What
it's
a
nice.
great road trip.
It's not so crowded either.
Food is awesome. Even the stadium food. Even the spread they put up for the media up in the front. Oh my God, it's just freaking awesome.
One of my next me something, please.
One of my best buddies in broadcasting has been there. He was there for years at TV. A guy named Frank Bold. Does that name sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
He and I worked in Eureka on opposite stations back in the day, back in '77. And then he went to Green Bay, and then he got this job in Kansas City. Just loved it, stayed there forever.
The people are nice.
Yeah.
Now you haven't been to
cheap.
You haven't been to the Negro League.
I've not.
Yeah. Okay.
I've not. I've been to Kansas City 3 times. Each time I have not gone. But next year I will.
Yeah. You know, let's just talk a little bit about that. I mean, we only have a couple of minutes, so I thought that'd be kind of interesting.
I did go. I have friends of mine in Arkansas. You were. Why the hell were you in it?
Yeah. So what are you doing down in Arkansas?
Well, a college friend of mine, the woman in that picture, we went to UVA together, and she's a really high up exec at Walmart. And Walmart is based in
Little Rock.
No, it's
Fayetteville.
No, it starts with a B. It's Bentonville, Arkansas, just over the border.
How'd you get down there from Kansas City?
I flew into Kansas City, got my rental car, drove down.
It's not that far, huh?
3 hours. It's like driving to town.
Oh, okay.
So they lived in Burlingame because she was running Walmart.com out here, and then she got a promotion, but she had to go to the headquarters.
Yeah,
so they sold her house in Burlingame for like $1.5 million, something like that. And they
about half of Arkansas.
And they live in this gated community that's just
300,000.
2-story, big, giant, monster stone structure on a golf course. Just pay less than $500,000 for it.
Oh, yeah. Arkansas is pretty too. A lot of unspoiled country.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you even went there for.
And they live in an area that it's northern Arkansas, and they like to separate themselves,
of course,
from the rest of the state,
just like we do from Southern California. Yeah.
She says they're local. They're on their local news for sports. It's all Razorbacks.
Oh yeah, it's all
Razorbacks. They don't address anything else.
I bet you. No, Nolan Richardson was the basketball coach there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, he was popular. He was popular too.
That's funny.
Frank Broyles, I remember that guy.
Okay, go ahead. I'll ask you what's your favorite place to go visit there. Okay, ready? Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan.
Hey!
When we get to the third commercial break, we ask this trivia question. Again, the theme is World Series. Which Yankees legend has the most World Series rings with 10?
It's never over till it's over. Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra.
Number 8.
Can you imagine he puts them on every single finger plus his 2 thumbs?
Wow.
Yeah.
Where?
He's close to 90 years old now, but he's still hanging in there.
I never met him.
I've met him a couple of times at some baseball events. Again, real easygoing guy. The thing I remember most about Yogi, managing against the A's, Reggie Jackson's Oakland A's in '73 when Reggie won the MVP, and the Mets, Willie Mays' last World Series, and the Mets lost 2 games in Oakland and lost the World Series. That was the We Believe Mets of Tug McGraw.
Oh, yeah.
40 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vern, we have just a quick minute here. Tell us, you want to go visit Kansas City again?
Yeah, well, I had the Chiefs Raiders, and I've been traveling a lot for CBS here in the Bay Area, and we were just kind of talking off air about my favorite place to go, and I just pound for pound, outside of New Orleans, Kansas City is a fantastic place to go to.
You said the food's good.
The food is unbelievable. I mean, I'm telling you, nobody makes barbecue like Kansas City.
Great music too.
Oh my God! Great music.
Yeah.
The people are nice.
Yeah.
Even the stadium food, the spread they put out for the press, it's like it came out of Gourmet magazine.
And Arrowhead is it's wild.
If you are hungry at Arrowhead Stadium, then something is wrong with you. Something's really
and
wrong.
Did you say you're going to go visit the Negro Leagues?
It's got the Negro League Museum.
The Jazz Museum right next door. It's all under the same roof.
Okay, when you go there, you come back, tell us how it was.
Listen, America, go to Kansas City. I'm telling you.
All right. Thoughts for the... Okay, first of all, I want to thank my co-hosts, Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn. Thank you very much for joining us again. Thoughts for the day. Bob Lemon said the 2 most important things in life are good friends and a strong bullpen. And when I was 40, my doctor advised me that a man in his 40s shouldn't play tennis. I heeded his advice carefully and could hardly wait until I reached 50 to start again. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and giving away more vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
I hate to say it, I got to run because